What's up, guys? Chance here. Alright, fix this. You know what? Here. You guys are probably wondering what this live stream is about. Well, give me a moment to do what I usually do, and I will explain everything. What's up to everybody watching right now? I'm not sure who's watching, but what's up? Give me just a moment here, and I will explain everything entirely. Because this is something that's kind of been on my mind that I feel needs to be spoken about. And not just as I was originally going to make this a post on Facebook, but I figured, no, I better put this out in the open. So that way maybe something can be done about it. And in case you guys are wondering, yes, I'm rocking my North High School hoodie from here in Akron, Ohio. Go North High Vikings. Much love to you guys. Alright, what is up, everybody? You guys are probably wondering what this live stream is about. Well, it's something called that I picked up on my own through, various friends who actually went to the same school as I did, and other friends that I grew up with who went to other high schools, who went through a similar situation. And I'm not sure, like, there's not really any name for it, but everybody that I know of is calling it the selective passing process. And you guys are probably wondering, hey, what's the selective passing process? Like, what does this have to do with our school systems? Well, allow me to explain that to you. What the selective passing process is, if you do not have a 4.0 GPA or higher than a 4.0, the schools basically make it impossible for you to graduate. I know what you guys are thinking, hey, if I have all my credits, how can they keep me from graduating? Well, trust me, they can, because the school board's in on it as well. What they would rather do, instead of helping those out like myself who worked very hard to get the credits they need to graduate, they would rather focus on the look of the school. They would rather focus on, their school's status or the highest scores in the school's football games, or, they would rather focus on those students who are like, the valedictorian and, the MVP of the football league at the schools and stuff. And you guys are probably wondering, where am I getting all this from? Well, I myself have been a victim of this. I've been a victim of the selective passing process. Because, see, I never got to graduate. And the reason why is because of the school system. See, going into high school, my last year, I was very, very far behind on work, credits, all that stuff. And, I had really, sat my butt down and I put in the work. Like, I worked my butt off day and night to, catch up and do what I needed to do to graduate. And I had been able to confirm that, yes, I did have all of my credits. Like, I was able to confirm that I had all of my credits. I had turned in all my senior dues. I had paid off everything. And, I was doing really good. Like, I was literally, like, I was close to being in the top of my class. Like, I was really close. And I think I had like a 3.8, 3.9 GPA. Like, I was only a couple points off of having a 4.0. Like, I had worked my ass off day and night. Sorry for the cussing. I know what I said this morning, but, just go with it. And, that day before graduation, we did our usual thing. We had an assembly for, students and stuff like that. And, I ultimately wound up receiving the Most Improved Student of the Year award. Because, I'd worked so hard to, get to where I was at. And, later on that day, we did rehearsals for graduation. We went through the whole process, where every student is going to sit, what's going to happen. We had gone through all of that, like, that next day. And if you guys are, like, let me know down in the comments if you guys are noticing a change in the screen. Because I did brighten it up a little bit, so it should help. Hopefully it did, because I did brighten it up. And I didn't know I could do that on this, so yay me for figuring that out. Even though it was simple, I still didn't know. But anyways, back on topic. And, like, we had gone through the whole, process, like I said. We had gone through rehearsals, all day long. We had finished up what few classes we had. And, then it was time for the seniors to head out. So, we wound up headed home for the day. But during that day, I had gotten called up to the principal's office. And I figured, maybe I was going up there to, get my cap and gown, all that stuff. Because they were doing that throughout the day. They were calling students up to get their cap and gowns for graduation as they were getting there. So I figured, all right, I'm going to go there, pick up my cap and gown, grab my stuff that I had paid for, and then head back to class. Well, instead of picking up my cap and gown, the principal said that they wanted to talk to me. So I was like, all right, like, I figured maybe something was up. Like, maybe I forgot to pay something off or something like that. I mean, I didn't know. I was like, all right, like, whatever, pick up my cap and gown or, something like, along those lines. I didn't know what was coming next. I come to find out that the principal sat down and had a talk with me and stuff, and they straight out said, that because I don't have a 4.0 GPA, and that because I supposedly don't have all my credits, which I did, that I was not allowed to graduate with my class. And I argued with my principal back and forth for like an hour straight, proving to her time and time again that, hey, I have all my credits. You need to let me graduate high school. Like, you need to let me graduate with my class. Because I had already paid for my cap and gown. I already had paid for my yearbook. I had already paid off my senior dues. Plus, from time to time, I would help out the school newspaper whenever I could. Like, not like all the time, but, like, I would, give them ideas on stuff they can write about, or stuff, that was going on in school that they kind of wanted to know about from time to time. So, and I did that, and it was pretty fun doing that, actually. I kind of enjoyed that. I know what you guys are thinking, why didn't you join the school newspaper? Answer to that, didn't really have the interest in it until like literally my last year of high school. I never really took a real interest in the school newspaper until last year of high school, because I didn't realize how much of an impact and how much of an effect it had on our students until that final year. Well, like they had told me that I couldn't graduate, and as I just said, I argued with them back and forth for like an hour straight. Like literally an hour straight. And, I straight out told them, if you're not going to let me graduate, then I may as well just say screw this and walk out and quit. But just know that when I walk out, I will be fighting this. And, ultimately, that's what I wound up doing. They would not let me graduate. So, let me fix this here. Sync is tipping upward. There we go. But, ultimately, they did not allow me to graduate with my class. And so I wound up walking out and quitting. And, I had called my mom up, let her know what was going on. I had gotten home that day, sat down with her, explained everything that was going on, about how I wasn't allowed to graduate, even though I had all my credits. And actually, I wound up with a couple extra credits. And I want to say those extra credits were for Algebra 1 and 2, and I think language arts. Like, I don't remember what the extra credits were for, but I had a couple extra. Well, we had eventually wound up, fighting it. And, we had gone to the school board and everything. We made our case. We put together a case to fight it and showed tons of evidence proving to them that I should have graduated. And unfortunately, I was unable to win that case because of the fact that the head principal of East High School is buddy-buddy with the head person at the school board. Like, they're really good friends with the head of the school board and, all kinds of stuff. And it was a mess. We fought it for about 3-4 months. And unfortunately, due to that and our schools being the way they are, I was unable to graduate. And do I have the answer on, how to prevent stuff like this? I honestly wish I did. Because there's too many students like myself who got ripped out of their high school diplomas because of these freaking school boards. Because these schools are too interested and too hooked on sports, being the best in their city, keeping their ratings up and all that shit. Like, it's honestly ridiculous. Like, whatever happened to helping students like myself out? And one of the students that was like myself in that situation is actually my very good friend, who is literally my little sister, Stephanie Sinso. Like, she got ripped off of, she got her high school diploma ripped off too. And we both went to the same exact school. And I honestly don't know how many other students went to that school or how many got ripped off, but it's really unfair as, this happens. Every year there are students like myself that don't graduate, who deserve to graduate high school. Like, something needs to be done. Like, it really isn't fair that this goes on. And, you guys are probably thinking, well, why didn't you, go for your GED? Well, here it costs a lot of money to do that. And we don't have that kind of money to get in the classes I need to get my GED, otherwise I would. But, yeah, we do consider my Most Improved Student of the Year award my diploma in a way, but to me it's not the same. Like, and I don't know whether it's happening in just here in the Ohio school system or if it's all over, but if it is, it needs to be put to a stop. Like, too many, students like myself have fallen through the cracks over the years, and they wonder why. They're left wondering why, like, what did I do wrong? And if you are in that situation like I was, I want you guys to know that you did nothing wrong. You did everything you had to do to graduate. Yes, I'm talking to you, the people out there that are watching this, that are in that situation that I was in. I want you guys to know that you did nothing wrong. It was the school systems that messed with this. The school systems are picking and choosing who graduates and who doesn't. You guys didn't do anything wrong. And if you do start to notice it, instead of just sitting there and letting it happen like I did, because I had no idea of the signs. I had no idea that there were any signs to notice this type of deal. But if you are noticing this, don't just sit there and let the school principal and these people in the school system bully you around. Stand up and say something. Fight back against it. Don't do like I did and wait. Because by the time you wait like I did, it'll be too late. And you deserve to graduate with your class. You deserve that diploma. You deserve to have a future. And I'm telling you guys this so that you are made aware of what's really going on in these school systems that they don't want us knowing about. And I figured it out on my own long ago, but I didn't really have the courage to, really speak up about it until now. Like, I was sitting down working on my music label's website and getting that built up, and I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, like, how did I get in the situation of, being as I am to where I don't have a diploma? And I was like, I really need to, speak up about this. Like, something really needs to be done. So I urge you guys on a very serious level, if you guys start to notice this, and you guys know that you have all your credits and that you have the stuff to graduate, and they're still not letting you, get your parents involved, get your family involved, get your neighbors, your friends, get a teacher that you trust, get everybody that you can involved to put an end to this, because it really needs to stop. It really does. Because I don't want to see our future generations of students end up like I did. I'm 27 years old. No job, no education past 12th grade, no high school diploma, no GED. And that's not my fault. It is because of these school systems that I'm in the situation that I'm in. Yeah, I could have had a great paying job. I could have gone to college, which I was planning on doing. Because that week before the whole ordeal happened, I had applied for a college called Musicians Institute out in California. Because I was very interested in music just as much as I am now. So, I wanted to further my education and, make it a career. And, if I hadn't been able to go out there, they would have, taught me how to do music the proper way, how to mix, how to master, filmography, which is like filming and shooting, videos, music videos, TV shows, all that stuff. They would have taught me everything I needed to know in that college. And I literally applied there that week before. And I had gotten my acceptance letter that day before they had called me down. And, after the whole ordeal happened, I literally had to sit here at home in our living room and call up the head instructor there and explain to him the situation and why I was not able to go. And it killed me to do that because I'd worked really hard. I had financial aid helping me with, the costs and everything. Like, I had everything going for me. But because of the school board not letting me graduate, I lost out on a future. I lost out on all that. So I guess the lesson for this video, if you start to see this kind of thing happening with you or somebody that you know, don't just sit there and do nothing. Stand up and help them. Speak up. Because I'm sure I'm not the one that this happened to. I'm sure there's many others out there who this has happened to. And the schools don't want us to recognize that this is going on. And I know what you guys are thinking is probably just some, stupid thing, but I'm here to tell you that this is very real. This is not fake. I'm living proof of that. And so is my best friend, Stephanie Sinso. If you, look her up on Facebook, she's on my friends list. That's Stephanie, Sinsel, I believe. But me and her both are living proof of that situation. Yeah, if you guys want more proof, you guys can look up, like I said, my friend Stephanie Sinso. That's Stephanie, Sinsel. You guys can look her up on Facebook. Me and her went through the exact same school. And we had just caught up recently. And, because we hadn't seen each other since high school, so we wound up catching up and talking to each other. And that's when she informed me about what had happened with her and her situation, which was literally the same exact situation as mine. And so, if you are going to high school, or if you have kids, or if you're an adult or a parent, and you do have kids that are in high school, always check their credits. Like, always ask your kid how many credits they have, and if they don't know, they can easily go to their counselor, their principals, even their teachers. Have them find out how many they have. Find out how many credits you need for your school system to graduate, and sit down with your son or your daughter or whoever it is that you have that's in high school, and go over how many credits they have. And if they have enough credits to graduate high school and they're still not being allowed to graduate, speak up and say something. Do something about it. Because this is a very real situation that happens all over the United States and all over the world. There's too many students being cheated out of their high school diplomas. There's too many students like myself being cheated out of their futures. All because the schools want to be ignorant and selfish. And instead of worrying about education, helping those students that really need the help to graduate, they would rather focus on basketball teams and having the best city ratings. They would rather be the best school in the city than to help that one student that wants to graduate, that works hard to graduate. Instead of helping that one student out, they'd rather focus on the school status and where they stand in the standings of the school. And it's ridiculous. There needs to be a change, and honestly, that change needs to start now. It really does. So if you do have a child or are in high school, share this video around with everybody that you know, man. Like, if you guys want to, you're more than welcome to download this video. There are various sites where you can convert and download this video. Share it with everybody, man. Share it with your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, aunt, uncle, neighbors. Share it with, those in your school that don't know what's going on. Share it with your teachers, your principals, everybody. Share it with everyone. This needs to be sought after and put a stop to. It really does. This is very serious. And I know I'm not the only one that's gone through this. I know there's many others out there like myself who have gone through the same thing. And this needs to be put to a stop. And I'm not just speaking for myself. I'm speaking for every student out there who has been cheated out of their diploma and out of a future. And so please, guys, I urge you, share this video. Share it around to everyone that you know. Share it to groups, to your friends' timeline. Share it to everybody. Let's put a stop to this. Let's make people aware of this. Let's raise awareness for this so that this doesn't happen to future generations. Let's put a stop to this now while we still can. Please, guys, I urge you to please share this with everyone that you know. Help this live stream. Help this video go viral. I will be posting it up on my label's YouTube channel. I will be posting it in groups and everything. So please, guys, help this video go viral. Help it get out there. Help people help people become aware of this. Because this is a very serious situation. To a lot of people it might not be, but to people like myself who've gotten cheated out of their diplomas, this is a very real and very serious situation that needs to be put to a stop. With that being said, guys, this has been Chance here, also known as Virus. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. You're amazing. And like I said, please share this around to everyone. Help this video to go viral. Let's make a change.